Well, I think the best way to approach the value proposition from the end user point of view is the integrators are becoming more sophisticated and starting to understand what security risks are. But it goes beyond that, because what's happening with chief security officers and chief information security officers is they are responsible for solving board level risk. So integrators are going to have to be more familiar with board level risk. And I'm talking about things like risk to people, assets, critical processes, information within the corporation. As integrators are coming in and they have the ability to integrate many products, the opportunity is not only to mitigate some of that risk, but to measure it. So what's happening today is that CSOs and CISOs are being looked at by their board with a scorecard of what are you contributing to my board level risk in terms of mitigation, how are you measuring it quantitatively and qualitatively, and at the end of the day, how is that advancing our core mission? And I'll give you an example. Mike Howard and the Microsoft Global Security team have been very much involved in revenue influencing in the Microsoft model. And by that I mean they take a global security operations center and they are able to show what the value of running that global security operations center that protects their people, their offices, their networks worldwide, and with other intramural partners like the Chief Information Security Officer, the value proposition they bring to Microsoft. While they're doing that, they are now teaming up with integrators and manufacturers to show what the value proposition is for enhancement. So while they're securing the people and assets of Microsoft, they're making a very persuasive business case that they're moving Microsoft's business for their entire suite of management tools, etc. So now that team is a very viable and respected partner for being there for the critical few risk requirements and showing that they can enhance the business at the same time. And that's a double value proposition. Integrators sometimes get the big hug from an end user. And they have helped solve a homicide problem, a robbery problem, a theft of information problem. But sometimes the end user and the integrator haven't had the substantial conversation around measures and metrics. And when they do, they have the opportunity to find out that before the solution came in, their turnover was this because they had churn. People were afraid to work at a certain place. They lost documentation. They lost part of their market share. They may have lost key innovations in the business. They may have lost key talent in the organization because they couldn't work in the organization because of security concerns. When you solve for those, you start to get higher engagement. You find out that the employee or the stakeholder feels that the company cares about them. Engagement scores go up, turnover goes down, injuries go down, on and on and on. So as you calculate every risk, there is a quantifiable monetized cost. So at the end of the day, mature security departments, after calculating what their risk mitigation is and the entire all hazards risk portfolio, can sometimes claim a multi-million-dollar contribution to the bottom line and advancing the core business process of the business at the same time. And that's what board members want to hear. And it's not necessarily arbitrarily driven by the idea of net profitability. It's driven by their values. It's driven for the care for the customer. It's driven for the need to take care of people. It's driven by a need to let everyone know that they're protecting brand in the way that you anticipate a Microsoft, a Starbucks, a Procter & Gamble, on and on would protect their brand. So it's stakeholder expectations. Now, when you get to the calamities that happen in the world today, what happens is we know that in the worst case scenarios of the tsunamis, you name your natural or man-made nightmare, those corporations that have engaged, that have made their stakeholders aware of what their risk is, that have let their stakeholders know what their investment is to mitigate that risk, we find that they rebound from those catastrophic incidents much better than other people do, because what happens is there's confidence in the brand. The brand does the right thing for the right reasons. They do it before, during, and after that catastrophic event. And all of that can begin with security products, with the proper integration and the proper measurement.